Hi everybody, hope you're doing well. I had a dream back in the middle of September. It's September 18th. It was around 1:40 a.m. I always have dreams or visions or words. I always document them so I can remember them. And last week or so, God's really been putting this dream on my mind. So I think, and it's a really unique dream. So I figured, why not share it? I believe it's a Christian persecution dream. It's real short, but the message got across for sure. So I called it Faye Lights the Way. And here it is. I was in my house. I was looking out of the front porch, like peeking out to see what it looked like out of the house. And no one was really around, which was important. I knew that. I wanted to make sure that it was like the coast was clear. I knew we were going to send a dog out, and I knew we had more than one option of dogs to send. Like certain dogs were trained for certain things, and I knew we had to get a message out to somebody, which is kind of why I knew right away it was a persecution dream. Like we had to, you couldn't just openly go out. You had to be careful. Now, one of the first notes I had written about it in the middle of the night was sending the dog out to get a message. So I remember the feeling that comes with the dreams too. It's the way the Holy Spirit works with me as well. So not only do I see it, but I also have feelings pressed on me to where I know what He's portraying. But so we send out the messenger dog, and I'm letting it out quietly, peeking. And my wife in the dream comes up to the front door where I am with the dog, and she says, "Send Faye out." And as I'm opening the door to send Faye out, not a real dog I own, it was like a German Shepherd, if I remember right, real kind of a dark German Shepherd, like a military type dog. And I'm watching the dog get ready to go on its mission. It's going down the front steps, and the dog's name is spelled out in my dream. The voice says Faye. So I remembered to take notes on that as soon as I woke up too, because the fact that it spelled out the name, I knew it must mean something. And but the dog goes down the steps, and right as I'm waking up, and I'm not even sure if this was still part of the dream, but I felt it in my spirit where it said, "Faye will light the way." And then that was the end of the dream. And just to go back to my notes here, I remember one of the first things I looked up, because I knew the way Faye was spelled out, that was important. So I looked up Faye, Faye, and it's a French origin meaning belief or faith. And it's from Old Norman French Faye, Fei, meaning loyalty or belief, which has roots from the Latin word fides, Fides. It means faith, trust, or belief. And I prayed a lot on this dream, and every time I prayed, the Holy Spirit led me to the same conclusion of what He was portraying with the messenger dog and the persecution of feeling like I couldn't go out and deliver the message to somebody myself. I had to send a messenger dog out to do it because it wasn't safe. And it kept reminding me of what the church that Jesus returns for, His bride, will be, and what kind of, they'll have to have such a holy faith and zeal that they'll look like an extension of Jesus, because they're going to have to go. They're going to war against the darkness of this world, and they're going to be persecuted and imprisoned for it. And that's why I had such the feeling of He's just giving me a quick glimpse of what it's going to be like for that church, but they're going to be so strong and holy and fearless. And that's why He was using a military type dog to remind me of how the church will be a militant church. In Daniel 11:32, the people who know their God shall carry out great exploits. which is basically heroic accomplishments or military movements. They'll be a militant people. They'll be focused, well-trained, thoroughly disciplined, and fiercely determined. Like the military, the militant church would have focus to win the wars it fights, to set people free from Satan's clutches and change the world we live in. So God's will is done on earth just as it is in heaven. Like the military itself, a militant church will have to be very smart in the way it fights. Very strategic. Something isn't working, try something else. It's kind of like in my dream where I had multiple options of dogs, but the messenger dog is what I needed to send out at that time. It's smart tactically. The armies use dogs for tactical missions to help keep soldiers out of direct contact with the enemy. It saved lives. Messenger dogs, they require extreme loyalty as they must be trusted to go from one handler to the other. They travel silently and are able to use natural cover. The church that Jesus is going to present himself with, and sadly, I think everyone can agree we're not there yet. But it's going to exist to rescue people from the kingdom of darkness and to bring the whole of life under the rule of God. Just as Isaiah 42, verse 1 through 4 reminds, and faith will light the way. A militant church like the military it has so much in common with will exist to fight until final victory is won. But Christian soldiers, though, will be fighting with different weapons than the military, like 2 Corinthians 10, 3 through 5 talks about. But like Matthew 10:16 states, we're supposed to be wise as serpents, yet harmless as doves. So Christians are called to exercise whatever wise shrewdness they can to avoid conflict and danger without losing the dove-like innocence. That will allow them to continue to proclaim the truth without fear. And it's just another tactic that reminded me of my dream of, I'm just sending out a messenger dog. It's very much a military type operation, using of dogs, but not to hurt anybody, but to protect other Christians and protect ourselves and relay messages between one another. And God was just showing me quick glimpses of things that could happen for that final church before Jesus comes to get his bride. Just a quick fact before I wrap this up. I was looking at Christian list, and the listed nations of persecuted Christians contained 309 million Christians living in places with very high or extreme levels of persecution. And that's up from the 260 million of last year. So that's significant. But Isaiah 43:19 reminds us that I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. So put faith in God, and he's going to get his church through it. It's going to take a lot of faith, but that the church will have that. And then some. 1 Timothy 6:12, fight the good fight of faith. And to wrap this up, I found a poem, and the Holy Spirit really wants me to read it. It's called the Working Dog Poem. But he's not just doing it for the Working Dog Poem, but I think he's having me do it because he wants people to have that type of faith in God, obviously. But here's the Working Dog Poem. My eyes are your eyes, to watch and protect you and yours. My ears are your ears, to hear and detect evil minds in the dark. My nose is your nose, to scent the invader of your domain. And so you may live, my life is also yours. So I'm just sharing this message today just to remind that we walk by faith, not by sight. And that by reading this poem, it's an awesome poem for the dogs, but as far as God goes, he's our eyes. Because does he who fashioned the ear not hear? Does he who formed the eye not see? God is omnipresent, and I pray for you tonight is for you to put your trust and faith in God and let his word be the lamp for your feet and a light on your path. Hope this message bless you. Thanks for listening. God bless.